I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're delighted to have Pat Reilly, the brilliant mind behind the dystopian novel called
Well,
Psyber and Clipped Eagles, which dives into a world under the control of a shadowy order with elements of espionage, spirituality, and the battle of good versus evil. He has created quite a world, one you will want to immerse yourself in as you turn those pages so fast you might be fanning yourself to figure out what's going to happen next. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this wonderful book, Psyber and Clipped Eagles. Pat, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
to be here, bro.
This is such a great book. I love the juxtaposition of espionage and spirituality that you find in your story. What made you bring together these seemingly contrasting elements into one narrative?
Well, for one thing, my entire background has been in espionage or private investigations. I was in Army counterintelligence for quite some time during the Vietnam War, serving primarily in Europe. I got out of the service and became a licensed private investigator while pursuing some broadcasting career as a disc jockey and talk show host and so forth. I'm also a dedicated Christian and read Billy Graham's book about 40 years ago called Angels, God's Secret Agents. And, it occurred to me that's exactly what they are. They're God's secret agents. They're his knights. They're his knights to the kingdom. And I said, well, would it be so bizarre if some of these knights to the kingdom would recruit some of the human knights to the kingdom in order to assist in certain operations? So that was the inspiration for it. It's been bubbling around for quite some time. And it seems to be a natural blending of spirituality. In other words, the spiritual aspects of good versus evil. And yeah, it kind of blends the two of them together because, people who are doing righteous work in terms of intelligence operations, private investigations, everyone I know in this business, well, not everyone, but most of the people I know in this business are very, very interested in truth and in justice. Some do it for money, but most do it for patriotism or because it simply is the right thing to do. And that essentially is the purpose of spirituality. We're moving in a moral direction, which is supposed to neutralize evil and bring truth to all of people. So that's how it came about.
Wonderful. Let's give the folks at home the big picture, the overview of what Psyber and Clipped Eagles is about.
Well, David Psyber is it's Psyber. David Psyber is he's an ex-government operative who gets back into the broadcasting business. Coincidentally enough, it sounds a little bit like some of my personal experiences. And he's really disgusted by what's happening with the New World Order generally. There is a wokeness going on in the entire world. There's a lack of truth. The entire news media has been corrupted with their own particular spin, their own particular motivations. So he wants to speak the truth, and he's on the radio, and they're not allowing to speak the truth. He says some things about God and about God bless America and about patriotism and so forth. And he's fired. So he locks himself in the control room and does a diatribe against the New World Order. After which he has a little bit of an encounter with some homeless people in this despicable area where the radio station happens to exist, and then goes off on a private investigative mission in a rather seedy part of town, which used to be called the Combat Zone in Boston, in order to obtain some video on a corrupt politician who's, quite frankly, a little bit morally lapsed, shall we say. And it does not work out well. I mean, they get the politician, but he also ends up in jail. And he's bailed out by, someone he's worked for quite some time. He didn't exactly know who this person was, but it turned out that Elgin, his lawyer and benefactor, turns out to be an angel of God. And they go on to do a mission in Stuttgart, Germany, which I have a little bit of background in order to rescue a defecting Chinese student who's a computer genius, unlike me, and who has the entire answer to overcome the Israeli Iron Dome system and the Israeli defense system generally. So he's lifted by the angels and by our little crazy band of lunatics who are put together in order to perform this mission, in order to get him back to the United States and get him out of the hands of the whatever kind of corrupt government might use it in order to destroy Israel. So it's really, the relevance to today couldn't be more direct. Yeah. It's absolutely right on the money. So they do the lift. And after that, he's sent back to the United States in order to set up a pirate radio station, in order to broadcast truth and to deal with individuals who are the listeners of this media enterprise, not really a radio station. It's more like a satellite link up. But it not only broadcasts truth, but also has a request line. And the people who call up are not requesting music, they're requesting help. And the help is given to them on every single situation. So the angels, they respond to the needs of the listeners. Kind of a cool idea.
It's a great story. It's a great premise. It's very imaginative. It's a cool blending of multiple genres. I'm a huge fan of the noir detective, and David Psyber fits that bill as well. So I truly enjoyed it. Have you envisioned this as a film or a TV series, perhaps?
Yeah, and everybody who's read the book so far has said it would be a wonderful series because it has ongoing possibilities. There's also a short story connected with it, which is actually Clipped Eagles. Psyber is the name of the novella, but Clipped Eagles is the short story. And that brings together some of the individuals who were in the novella to go off and help a young woman she's had a rather uncomfortable background, shall we say. And they're called to assist her, and it works out very well for her. There's all kinds of action connected with it. It's kind of like, I like to look at it like Touched by an Angel meets the A-Team. It's a lot of fun, but on the other hand, it also has some really solid moral values. And the thing that I kind of left out before that I wanted to point out is that there's time travel involved. The angels go to the millennial rule of Christ, which is 1,000-year rule of Jesus Christ on earth. So we can take a look at what the planet would be like if everyone were in an ideal world of peace, where there was no hatred, where people cared about each other, where the lion would lie down with the lamb, where there would be beautiful scenery and self-sufficiency, and everyone who has talent will utilize that particular talent for all eternity. And they will love that talent. You as a broadcaster, you will be a broadcaster. You'll be broadcasting truth. Me as an investigator and broadcaster will be doing that. And we will love what we do. And we will share our gifts with other people in this idyllic environment. The idea that heaven is some sort of a place where you're floating around on clouds is nonsense. That's not what the Bible says. It's going to be a new planet, a new earth, completely conceived in peace, to righteousness for all of us. It's going to be a ball. So we take you there. There's a visit. There's a visit to the millennial rule of Christ, and you get to meet some of the other angels, and you get to experience what the world would be like if we didn't have the likes of what we have in this corrupt environment today.
Absolutely. Are there any more David Psyber stories coming? This sounds like the beginning of a book series as well.
If we can get this going, I have at least 8. I'm about a third of the way through the first draft of the next one, which is called The Communicators. And it has to. I have an autistic son, and I'm very aware of the autism and Asperger's syndrome. And this story involves a young autistic man who befriends a woman, and this woman is found missing one day. And by the corrupt political system, the young man, his name is Billy Forrest, rather. The young man is drawn into the legal system and accused in the disappearance of the woman. And it has all kinds of cool twists in it. It's really cool. We get them off, but it's really a lot of fun.
Sounds wonderful. So you're waiting to see how this first book does. You've got multiple installments waiting to go if this book does well. This
Oh yeah,
book should do well because it's really a terrific story. You will love the adventures of David Psyber. He is a character that is in a league with Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe, and he's got a couple of tricks up his sleeve that the others don't. It's
yeah.
quite a book.
One
Anything
night
else you want to
that
leave the audience with before we leave today?
well, yeah. I mean, there's some martial arts in it. There's car chases. I mean, it's the kind of stuff you'd find in The Equalizer or a James Bond movie. You know, things of that nature. So it's really a lot of fun. In addition to, I think, having a terrific message. That's
Absolutely.
really
Yeah,
the key to it. It's a fun ride.
it is a fun ride. And I
Okay.
love the
I'm
settings.
going to keep writing the books, by the way, whether this one sells or not, just to let you know, because I'm having a ball doing
It's fun to live in that world when you're creating it and
it.
coming up
Absolutely.
with all of the adventures and the twists and turns. And I love your settings as well, from the woods of Tennessee to Stuttgart, Germany, to the combat zone in Boston. They're
Yeah.
all very real, very visual places, and places I guess you have spent some time in yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm also a martial artist and have been since the service. So any of the martial arts scenes are absolutely legitimate. It's
Awesome.
not just made up stuff. He punches him in the mouth. I mean, there's some cool martial arts sequences in it too. So
Awesome. Pat Reilly has written a wonderful book. He is the brilliant mind behind the dystopian novel Psyber and Clipped Eagles, which dives into a world under the control of a shadowy order. And there are elements of espionage, spirituality, and of course, the ultimate battle, the battle between good and evil. This is a book you'll want to buy. This is a book you'll want to reread. This is a book you'll be anxiously awaiting the sequels to come, and they are already being drafted right now. Pat, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
amen. We appreciate you. Thank you, Logan.
I appreciate your time, sir, and I appreciate you and salute you for your service as well. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.